welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And today is Saturday. We're going to go ahead and get into the prep as UCLA football preps to take on Nebraska at the Rose Bowl today on Saturday. What we usually do here is just talk about the game, kind of what the implications are, and then we're going to go into a little bit of a scouting report, kind of what UCLA interim head coach Tim Skipper says about the Huskers, everything he's seeing from the offense, from the defense, kind of react to that, say what he says, and without further ado, let's get into it. So this game against the Huskers had a good amount of implications. UCLA obviously 2 losses away from losing bowl game eligibility. You wouldn't really expect UCLA to make a bowl game, especially considering that they started 0-4, but Tim Skipper came in, turned the program around, and a bowl game is kind of within grasp. I wouldn't say it's necessarily easy. They do have a pretty daunting schedule ahead. After Nebraska, you have number 1 Ohio State on the road, and then UCLA hosts number 23 Washington, and then to end the season, they go on the road against crosstown rival number 19 USC. So it's definitely, I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's probably going to be one of the toughest tasks of the season. But again, Tim Skipper, UCLA, they've been against the ropes before. They were 0-4, then they won 3 straight. You never know what can happen, but it all starts with this game against Nebraska. And they kind of have a break. Nebraska is going to be without star quarterback Dylan Raiola. He, against USC last game, broke his fibula in the third quarter, and he's out for the season now. So true freshman backup quarterback TJ Lateef is stepping in. It's going to be his first start of the season. We're going to get into a little bit of how UCLA can take advantage of that. But, it's still going to be a pretty unknown challenge. UCLA had a bye, so within these 2 weeks, the first week they were prepping for Nebraska with Dylan Raiola, and they had to switch gears and only have 1 week to prep for much of an unknown TJ Lateef. He doesn't have many reps this season. I think he's only thrown like 30 or 40 passes this season. So Tim Skipper was saying earlier in the week that they have to go into some high school tape, which then again, it's probably not going to be enough. So it certainly is a challenge in its own. Obviously, Lateef is not of the same talent as Dylan Raiola, but he's still pretty athletic, still really big. He still has an arm, so it's going to be something that UCLA is going to have to manage in the game. And then again, Nebraska has the best running back that UCLA has played all season, Emmett Johnson, 1,000-yard rusher. He has 10 touchdowns on the season. Tim Skipper was praising him. We're going to get into a little bit of what he said right here. But let's get into kind of Tim Skipper's scouting report. He has a weekly appearance on the Bruin Insider show with Wayne Cook and Nick Kopp. And he kind of does a good job every week of breaking down UCLA's next opponent. So he started with offense. He said, Nebraska's a very, very good team. Very, very good. Just like that game last week against USC, it could have went either way. These guys on offense, they're going to run the rock. It's our first 1,000-yard rusher we're going to have to go against. Very, very good. I come from a family of running back coaches, and he's up there as far as guys I've seen. Very good vision. He makes people miss. He's talking about Emmett Johnson here. He sees holes. He'll cut it back. He'll hit it when he needs to hit it. It's very impressive to watch that kid and to watch him run. He's really good. Their O-line's been a little banged up, but they still have guys that have been filling in. They're still huge, and they're still getting hands on people and moving people. And then in the pass game, they're kind of short passes. They're trying to get the ball out and let these guys run, make a guy miss, and then you have some wiggle room. So we'll have our hands full on defense as far as that goes. And then we know this new quarterback. There's going to be stuff we haven't seen. They're going to game plan for him now, so this is kind of going to be the first game kind of thing. We'll have to have in-game adjustments rolling wide away. We can't wait until halftime. It's going to be every single series. And then he moved on to the defense. Pretty brief. He said, on defense for those guys, they have some creatures on the edges. I mean, they're hybrid, long dudes that can create a lot of issues, so we're going to have to deal with that. They get a lot of turnovers. They're very good on third down, so we're going to have to manage this game. We got to win on the trenches like every game, but they want to win in the trenches, and we want to win in the trenches, so that's the ultimate battle. If we can control the time of possession, we should be fine. So that's a bit of his breakdown. And with the time that we have left, let's get into some pretty important figures in UCLA's game. We're going to start with three of UCLA's most important offensive figures. Number one, obviously, is going to be Nico Iamaleava. He's coming off of probably the worst game of his young college career. Did not do well against Indiana. He threw 2 interceptions, one of which was a pick six. 113 yards. He was 13 for 27 on passing. I mean, you can blame the offensive line. You can blame kind of a lack of creativity offensively that's fallen off since the Penn State game. But ultimately, Iamaleava just simply hasn't been good enough the last few weeks, and I think it's time for him to step up. Number 2 on offense for UCLA is going to be Anthony Woods. He's coming back from injury. He's a very important part of UCLA's rushing game. Through their own forced start, he was pretty much one of the only positives on offense. A perfect spark off the sidelines. He came in as the third-string running back, but has quite frankly, when he's played, been the most productive running back in the backfield. He missed the last 2 games with an injury, but he's back now, and I think he's going to be crucial in establishing the rushing game against Nebraska. And when you do establish that rushing game, it really helps open up the pass game. So overall, I think Anthony Woods plays a very important part in UCLA's offense. And speaking of people that are very important, that are coming back from injury, Eugene Brooks, he's UCLA's left guard. He's kind of their anchor on the offensive line, and he's back from injury, and I think his absence was felt against Indiana. Now, we're talking about Indiana like they're some, middling team. They're the number 2 team in the nation, one of, if not the best teams in the nation. But you could really feel Eugene Brooks' absence because, quite frankly, the offensive line against Indiana was stumped. Eugene Brooks is the anchor, and Tim Skipper detailed that they didn't even find out that he wasn't going to be playing until a few days before, so that kind of messed with the preparation on the offensive line and the game plan. But he's back. He's healthy. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Nebraska, so if the offensive line is clicking, it's not only good for Nico Iamaleava, it's good to establish the running game, and it's good to help Nico just create plays in other levels and extend plays like that. And then I thought we should rank UCLA's most important defensive units. So the first one is going to be the trenches. Tim Skipper talked about it. Nebraska has a true freshman quarterback, so what is one way that you can kind of startle him is getting to him early. I mean, UCLA hasn't done a tremendous job at creating quarterback pressure all season, but if you can get to this young, fresh, raw quarterback early, then it'll do good for the rest of the game. And also, Emmett Johnson is going to be just immense trouble, and that's the first line of defense is the trenches, so the defensive line has to do a really good job against Nebraska. I think they're the most important unit going into this game. Up next is the secondary, and despite giving up 56 points to Indiana, I do think that UCLA's defense and UCLA's defensive backs in particular have been playing some of the best football that they've played all season. It starts with Key Lawrence, safety, cornerback, Roderick Pleasant. I think UCLA secondary is really hitting its stride this season, and that's going to be important for their game against Nebraska. The only gripe I have with UCLA's defensive backs is that they're still struggling to tackle. Their tackling still needs to improve. And against a Nebraska team that kind of excels in the open field, tackling is going to be extremely important. So that's why I think that UCLA secondary comes in as the second most important position group on defense. And lastly, we have the linebackers. UCLA's linebackers, kind of like they have been in seasons past, have been the most important position group for UCLA on defense. John Vaughns leads the team with 79 tackles. Isaiah Chisholm is right behind them with 65, and they lead UCLA in tackles by a very wide margin. All aspects of Nebraska's offense is going to test the linebackers on Saturday. So whether it be, Emmett Johnson breaking into the second level of the defense, or Nebraska's receivers catching these short passes that they're accustomed to catching, UCLA's linebacker is going to be tested all game, and they're going to be one of the most important position groups in the game. So that's all we have for the Nebraska prep. We'll see you guys after the game when we talk about it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.